I sponsored an underprivileged student in my class, giving her $1,500 a month for living expenses. This year, the school cut our salaries, so I wanted to change the amount to $1,000 a month. But Cindy's mother, Karen Miller, was not happy. She caused a scene in the parents' group chat. I don't agree. How is my child supposed to live on $1,000? Do you want her to eat garbage out of a dumpster? Is this how you act as a teacher? Where's your basic compassion? What kind of person are you? You don't deserve to be a teacher. My hands were trembling with anger. To sponsor her child, I had been scrimping and saving, not even buying new clothes for myself. And in the end, this is how I was being accused. Fine. If this was how it was going to be, then there was no need for me to continue the sponsorship. I wanted to see what would become of them without my money. When I saw the messages in the group, I was completely stunned. In my memory, Karen Miller was a very amiable person. How could she change so drastically the moment money was involved? Karen Miller started tagging me frantically. Why the sudden change? Did I do something to offend you? You're a well-read person. Is this something a human being would do? Karen's outburst was so loud that other parents in the group started to join in. What is this for real? Why change it? $1,500 isn't a huge amount of money. I can see Cindy's family is having a tough time. Miss Clark, can't you just do it out of the kindness of your heart? With every message they sent, they tagged me again. I felt a heavy weight on my chest. I assumed they didn't know about the school's salary cuts, so I posted a message in the group. Dear parents, the reason for changing the sponsorship amount for Cindy's family is that the school has cut salaries this year, and I can no longer afford $1,500 a month. I hope you can all be a little more understanding. Besides, $1,000 is not a small amount. It's enough for Cindy's 3 meals a day. I thought Karen Miller would see my point. But a few minutes later, a new message popped up. Karen Miller. We should be understanding of you? Then who's going to be understanding of my family? Don't you know this is a crucial time for a child's growth? If her nutrition suffers, will you take responsibility? And a pay cut? Who'd believe that nonsense? Everyone knows teaching is the most stable job. How could there be a pay cut? It's $1,500 a month. Not a penny less. After sending that message, Karen immediately posted a photo of me driving my car. Karen Miller. Look everyone, this is her so-called pay cut. She can afford a car, so how could she be short on that little bit of money? Other parents started to chime in. Mr. Jones. I agree with Mrs. Miller. If she can afford a car, she shouldn't be missing $500 or $600. Mrs. Davis. Exactly. Miss Clark, you were the one who offered to sponsor her in the first place. How can you go back on your word and change it whenever you want? If you're really short on cash, just be a bit more frugal. You're young. A little hardship won't hurt you. The string of blunt accusations left me stunned. My blood pressure shot up. At that moment, I wanted to curse them out. Sponsoring Cindy's family these past few years. Was there a single day I wasn't enduring hardship? I couldn't afford breakfast. I had to save half of my lunch for dinner. Over time, I developed serious stomach problems and malnutrition. With trembling hands, I replied in the group. Mrs. Miller, everything I've said is true. If you don't believe me, you can ask other teachers at the school. The car I drive belongs to my parents. They let me use it for my commute. It's a very old model and isn't worth much. My sponsorship over these years has been genuine. I wouldn't lie to anyone. If I wasn't facing a serious problem, I would never have considered changing the amount. My words had no effect. The sentiment in the group was completely one-sided. Everyone was speaking up for Karen Miller. Mr. Jones. Oh, please. Who knows if you have other motives? I heard you were recently promoted to head of year. I bet that has something to do with sponsoring Cindy's family. Mr. Garcia. Yeah, how do you become head of year with no achievements or seniority? The school leaders must have found out about her sponsoring Cindy and gave her a special promotion. Now that she's used them, she wants to kick them to the curb. Now it's 1,000 a month. In a little while, it'll probably be nothing at all. This time, Karen Miller sent a 60-second voice message. You good for nothing. How can you be so rotten to the core? You make it sound so noble. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? The rest of her words were too vile to listen to. I tried to calm my breathing. The claim that my promotion was related to the sponsorship was ridiculous. If it were that simple, there would be no regular teachers. Karen Miller was crying and wailing. What did I do in a past life to deserve this? It's bad enough being poor, but now I'm being bullied everywhere. It doesn't matter if I go hungry, but if Cindy goes hungry, it will break my heart. Suddenly, one parent said, Why don't we parents team up and report this to the school administration? If she wants to keep teaching at this school, she must cover all of Cindy's living expenses and tuition until she's 18, no matter the costs. If she disagrees, we'll get her kicked out of the school. Having someone like her around will be a bad influence on our children. A brief silence fell over the group, followed by a chorus of agreement. Karen Miller was the most enthusiastic, practically jumping for joy. Everyone was tagging me, asking if I agreed. My phone was blowing up with texts and calls. Watching the messages flood my screen, my temples throbbed. They had no real power, but they were masters of guilt-tripping. This wasn't sponsorship. This was clearly an attempt to use me as a personal ATM. I turned off my phone, refusing to watch their drama unfold, and headed to the principal's office. Because I was sponsoring Cindy's family, I never dared to take sick leave to take care of my health. Well, now I could. I went to the principal's office to discuss taking medical leave. Principal Evans looked grim and waved his hand dismissively. Miss Clark, we'll talk about sick leave later. I've just received numerous complaint calls about you. The parents in your class are being very aggressive. I need an explanation. This is a very serious matter. My face fell. Principal Evans said sternly, Miss Clark, what you need to do now is reflect on your actions. I expect you to appease the parents' emotions in the shortest possible time. I laughed. If I can't take sick leave, then I'll just resign. Principal Evans froze, looking quite displeased. Miss Clark, you're not some immature youngster. Even if you're not at fault here, is it necessary to threaten the school with your resignation? Which teacher doesn't have to put up with some grievances? To be blunt, even if a parent hit you today, you'd have to endure it. There was nothing more to say when we couldn't see eye to eye. Without further explanation, I firmly completed the resignation process. I didn't want to spend another second there. After finishing the resignation paperwork, the first thing I did was leave the group chat. Then I slammed the door and walked away. As I reached the school gate, I heard a childish voice calling out from behind me. Miss Clark, where are you going? You haven't paid this month's living expenses in full yet. It was Cindy, the student I had been sponsoring. She was only a few meters away, but she shouted as if she was afraid I wouldn't hear her. It was the end of the school day, and the area was crowded with parents and students. The story of my sponsorship had spread among the parents long ago. Her shout made everyone recognize me, and all eyes turned in my direction. Even if I had the thickest skin, my cheeks still flushed with heat. Cindy approached me and said, still in a loud voice, Miss Clark, you only gave me $1,000 this month. You're $500 short. I bent down slightly and spoke to her in a soft, gentle voice. I didn't short you, sweetie. The amount has been changed to $1,000 this month. I've already spoken to your mother about it. I pulled out my phone to show her the chat history. I wasn't going to let my conflict with Karen Miller affect the child. I thought if I just explained it clearly to Cindy, it would be fine. But Cindy wasn't going to let me off the hook. You did give me less money. My mom told me she didn't agree. What you say doesn't count. It should still be $1,500. Hearing those words, my heart sank. A wave of disgust washed over me. So she knew everything. It seemed that in the eyes of this mother and daughter, I, the sponsor, was the lowest of the low. I stood up straight. I don't care if your mother agreed or not. It's my money, so I make the rules. Go back and tell your mother that from now on it's only $1,000. If she thinks that's too little, I can cancel the sponsorship altogether." With that, I turned to leave. But I had only taken a few steps when Cindy suddenly sat down on the ground and burst into tears. "Miss Clark, I'm begging you. Please don't cancel the sponsorship. I'll starve to death. My mom and dad work so hard from dawn till dusk. It's so difficult for them to earn money. Please just give us the money. You have a car and you're the head of year. Are you really that desperate for $500? Cindy's crying grew more frantic, as if I had stolen $500 from her family. The onlookers crowded around, pointing fingers at me. "Miss Clark, you know Cindy's family has it rough. There's no need to withhold the money. It's not like you're short of $500. Yeah, look how pitiful Cindy is. Miss Clark, just give it to her." They didn't care about the context. In their eyes, the child was the weaker party. Cindy saw the distress on my face and knew I was under pressure. So she wailed even louder, her cries becoming more heart-wrenching. I felt like I was in a nightmare, unable to defend myself. Looking at the crowd closing in on me, it was clear I wouldn't be able to leave without giving them the money. I clenched my fists. I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. "Fine. You want the money? I'll give it to you." I took out $500 and held it out to her. "Take it." Cindy's face lit up, and she quickly let go of my clothes. She took the money and counted it bill by bill, her young face filled with a greedy smile. "You're so nice, Miss Clark, but today is my mom's birthday, and I want to buy her a present. Could you give me a little more money?" My mom said, "Your money is our money. If I need money, I should just ask you for it. You'll give it to me, right, Miss Clark?" I was in disbelief. Could a child really say such things? I gritted my teeth and, without expression, handed her a $100 bill. Her eyes lit up, but she shook her head. "This isn't enough to buy a gift." I pulled out another one, but she had the same reaction. "Then how much do you want?" Looking at her, all I felt was a deep sense of disgust. Cindy stared at my wallet, her eyes fixated on the contents inside. "How much is in your wallet, Miss Clark? Why don't you just give it all to me? It's not like you're short on money." My heart ached as I took out the last 3 bills from my wallet and handed them to her. Cindy smiled, a bright, beaming smile. "Wouldn't it have been easier if you'd just given me the money sooner?" The implication was that she was annoyed by my hesitation. Hearing that, I turned and walked away. The moment I stepped out of the school gates, my resolve hardened. The sponsorship was over. During my time off, I had a minor surgery. I slept in every day and ate 3 meals on time. In less than a month, I gained over 10 pounds during this period. Karen Miller kept sending me messages. "Miss Clark, send this month's living expenses over quickly. Cindy is starving." And, "Miss Clark, I bought Cindy a few outfits today. It came to $5,000. Please reimburse me." I felt nothing. I sent back 4 words. "Not my problem." Karen Miller immediately flew into a rage. "How dare you speak to me like that? Is that something a teacher should say? Do you believe I'll report you to the Board of Education? So what if I bought Cindy some slightly more expensive clothes? Transfer the money now. You earn so much. What's wrong with spending a little on Cindy?" I didn't reply. I just played on my phone and sent a mocking emoji. After sending it, I deleted and blocked her. I thought I could finally be free of them, but I never expected that they would come looking for me at my home. When I opened the door and saw Frank and Karen Miller, I froze for a second. I had no idea how they found my address. My first instinct was to shut the door, but Frank Miller blocked it with his hand and shoved me aside aggressively. "You good-for-nothing. How dare you delete my wife's contact? Get this month's money out now. Are you trying to skip out on your debt? Don't think I'm afraid of you just because you're a teacher. You can't even spare this little bit of money. Have you no shame?" He reeked of alcohol. I scrambled backward, putting several feet between us. At the same time, I grabbed the can of pepper spray I kept nearby. I lived alone in a rented apartment, and I always carried something for self-defense. Frank Miller was tall and imposing, with a particularly menacing face. I mustered my courage and glared at him. "What do you think you're doing? I'm warning you. What you're doing right now is illegal." He lunged forward and grabbed a handful of my hair. "Go ahead, call the police. You think I'm easily scared? I'm telling you, give me this month's money right now. And it's $1,500. How dare you change it to $1,000 on your own? Did you get my permission?" I never thought he would actually get violent. Wincing in pain, I tried to pull out my phone to call the police. Frank Miller, still pulling my hair, slapped the phone out of my hand, sending it clattering to the floor. Then he pointed at me with furious eyes. "I'm telling you, don't cause trouble. We just came here to get our money, which is perfectly reasonable and legal. Even if you call the police, it won't do you any good right now. This is about money. If you dare to call the police, I'll make sure you regret it for the rest of your life." I gritted my teeth, unwilling to endure it any longer. I took out the pepper spray and pressed the nozzle, aiming it at his face. Arg! Frank Miller let out a blood-curdling scream, clutching his face as he dropped to his knees. Just then, a frantic Karen Miller pushed open the ajar door and ran inside. Seeing her husband on his knees, she went ballistic. "What did you do? You good-for-nothing? I just asked my husband to scare you a little. Did you have to do this? This is assault. I'll call the police and have you arrested." Feeling a wave of post-traumatic relief, I picked up my phone from the floor, my expression grim. "That's fine by me. I was about to call them anyway. Shall we do it together?" Karen Miller froze, then quickly forced a smile. "Actually, we don't need to make things so hostile. As long as you give us this month's money, I won't call the police. Look, Miss Clark, you promised to sponsor us. So it's not unreasonable for me to come and ask for the money, right? Besides, you even got promoted to head of year because you sponsored us. At the end of the day, you should be thanking me." I looked her straight in the eye. "First, there is no law that requires me to sponsor you. I have the right to stop at any time. Second, my promotion to head of year has nothing to do with you. It was the result of my hard work. Don't flatter yourself." Karen Miller rolled her eyes impatiently. "You say it's not related, so it's not. You're such a liar. And you call yourself a teacher. I'm worried you've been a bad influence on my daughter. Don't give me that nonsense. If you don't give us the money today, don't think I'm leaving." At that I snapped. She really thought she could walk all over me. "Not leaving. Then don't blame me for being impolite." I raised the pepper spray and strode towards her. "Not leaving, are you? Do you want a taste of this too?" "Don't you dare," she said, taking 2 steps back in terror. She grabbed her husband, who was still recovering, and retreated to the doorway. "Fine, you'll remember what you said today. You'd better not regret it." A sarcastic smile touched my lips. "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." They slammed the door and left. I rubbed my scalp, looking at the strands of hair on the floor. Then I glanced at the security camera in the corner. Everything Frank Miller had just done had been recorded from start to finish. They were the ones who were going to regret this. The next morning, I called the police and went to the hospital for an injury assessment. While waiting for the report, the police summoned Frank and Karen Miller to the station. A flash of guilt crossed their faces. It seemed they knew their actions were out of line. "Officer, why did you ask us to come here?" The officer looked at me. "Miss Clark filed a report stating that the 2 of you trespassed on her property yesterday and maliciously caused her harm. We've brought you in to understand the situation." They probably never thought I would actually dare to call the police. After all, in their minds, a teacher like me would never have the courage to confront them. The parents. I was supposed to just suffer in silence. Seeing that things were not going her way, Karen Miller immediately squeezed out a few tears. "Officer, you have to do us justice. She promised to sponsor me but then refused to give me the money. My child is at home crying from hunger. I was worried about my child, so I had no choice but to go to her house to ask for the money. Not only did she refuse, but she also sprayed pepper spray in my husband's eyes. His eyes are still not better. She pointed to Frank Miller's swollen eyes and sat on the floor wailing. She's the one playing the victim. Are we poor people just supposed to be bullied? I didn't bother arguing. I took out the surveillance footage from my home. I have evidence of everything you did. If you continue to make baseless accusations, I will add slander to your list of charges. Karen Miller fell silent. Soon after, the injury assessment from the police came back. There were several bleeding spots on my scalp, clearly from my hair being pulled out. Combined with the surveillance video from my living room, it was more than enough to have Frank Miller detained. Once detained, he would have a criminal record, which would have serious consequences for Cindy's future. The police took him to the interrogation room where he confessed to everything he had done. There was no room for lies. Karen Miller was furious. You scheming. I didn't know you were so malicious. I tilted my head. Me malicious? You came to my home and assaulted me. I exercised my legal rights as a citizen. How does that make me malicious? Was I supposed to let you rip my hair out and do nothing in response? Karen Miller rushed forward, pointing at me and shouting, Did you have to do this? It's not like you're short on money. And you call yourself a teacher. An officer stepped between us. You dare to make threats in here? We have the authority to lock you up too. Karen Miller deflated instantly. She slumped her shoulders and said to me with great reluctance, Let's settle this privately. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. Karen Miller kept her eyes down, refusing to look at me. Fine, name your price. I sat down and said to her with a smile, $10,000 and I want back every cent I ever gave your family. The only way to deal with scoundrels is to be even more of a scoundrel. That money represented my dignity and kindness. I had to get it back and use it for more worthy causes and people. Hearing my words, she shot up from her chair. You damn monster. In your dreams. I smiled. No money, then your husband will have to spend some time inside. Her family was already poor, relying entirely on Frank Miller's income. If he went to jail, they really wouldn't be able to afford food. My words hit their mark. She finally lost her footing. Her face was filled with hatred, her fingertips trembling. She said through gritted teeth, Fine, I'll give it to you. I wonder if you'll be able to sleep at night with that blood money. I shrugged. Don't worry, I'll sleep just fine. They didn't have enough money, so the police had us sign an installment payment agreement. After settling things with them, I thought for a long time, then took out my phone and called my old classmate. She knew I had resigned. She had contacted me 2 weeks ago, offering me a job at her school, but at that time I hadn't fully recovered. Now I was completely fine. My old classmate, Jessica Williams, was thrilled to hear from me. What's up? Are you feeling better? Yes. Let me know when I can start. Our conversation went smoothly. Her school was a private international school with excellent benefits for the staff. The salary was a generous $20,000 a month. I thought my life was finally back on track, but I never expected more trouble to find me. I officially started my new job at the school. After class, as I was preparing to go home, I noticed parents and students passing by giving me strange looks. They were whispering, That's her, right? Yes, that's her. How could the school hire someone like that as a teacher? I was completely bewildered until Jessica shared a link to a live stream with me. I clicked the link and saw the Miller family squatting on the ground. Next to them was a large photo of me. Karen Miller was crying pitifully. Please, kind-hearted people, help us. An unscrupulous teacher scammed us out of all our money, and my child hasn't had a proper meal in a week. As she cried, Cindy was beside her, continuously bowing to the camera. The live stream's popularity was skyrocketing. My phone screen was flooded with a torrent of abusive comments. The glaring notifications of donations felt like slaps across my face. A torrent of rage surged within me. They were not only trying to ruin my reputation and my life, but also profiting from my misery. It was their own fault. Yet, even after being punished, they felt no remorse, only an endless desire for revenge. I screen-recorded the stream as evidence, planning to report it to the police after work the next day. But when I arrived at school the next morning, I saw the family kneeling at the school gate. Karen Miller was crying her eyes out. I've never seen a teacher like this. She sits comfortably in her office, sheltered from the elements, earning tens of thousands a month. Yet she still preys on the money of poor families like ours. Not only did she assault us, but she also forced us to pay her for emotional distress. Oh heavens! Who can we turn to for justice? She sobbed into the camera. When she saw me arrive, she quickly turned the camera towards me. Everyone, look, this is the unscrupulous teacher still teaching in the school without a shred of guilt. Are you parents really comfortable entrusting your children to a teacher like this? This is so unfair. It's so hard for us poor people to even defend our rights. To all our brothers and sisters on the internet, please help us. Well, she certainly had a knack for stirring up conflict. At this point, nothing I could say would clear my name. Under the scrutiny of the camera, every word would be twisted into 1,000 different meanings. My only option was to get away quickly. The Miller family tried to follow me, but they were stopped by security at the gate. The crowd of onlookers at the school gate didn't disperse. I knew this incident would have a severe impact on the school. So instead of going to my classroom, I went to Jessica's office. Jessica was about to speak, but I cut her off. I'm so sorry for bringing such negative attention to the school. Jessica shook her head. I know this isn't your fault, but the impact of this is just too damaging. Public opinion is already brewing online. I think it would be best for you to lay low for a while. I nodded. I didn't handle this situation well. It's not appropriate for me to continue teaching right now, so I'd like to request a long leave of absence to sort this out before I return. Jessica was being as diplomatic as possible. If I couldn't take the hint, I'd be truly clueless. All right, call me when you've resolved everything. The school will always welcome you back. I quickly packed my things at my desk. By the time I left the school, the Miller family was gone. Clearly, they had achieved their goal. They were just there to harass me. And I had a feeling they wouldn't stop there. Sure enough, when I got home with my things, they had already ended their live stream and were waiting for me. Karen Miller looked at me, unable to hide the smirk on her face. Well, if it isn't Miss Clark. Did you get kicked out of the school? So that's what this was all about. They were waiting for me here. Look at that. This was the reward for my kindness. The same people I had once helped were now getting their revenge. I sneered. What are you pretending for? This is all you're doing, isn't it? As long as you know. You think you can fight us? This is just a little lesson for you. If you don't want us to continue making trouble, you'll obediently post an apology video online and pay us to shut up. Karen Miller rattled off a list of demands. Looking at her greedy face, I suddenly thought of a good way to deal with her. I deliberately hesitated for a few minutes before saying, "How much money will it take for you to leave me alone?" Seeing me give in, they were overjoyed. The couple exchanged glances, taking a long time to decide. We won't ask for much. $1 million will be enough. 1 million. I feigned difficulty. Karen Miller, sensing she had the upper hand, started pushing her luck. Is that a lot? That includes Cindy's living expenses. Don't tell me you can't afford it. I know you're very wealthy. Also, my husband has taken a liking to your car. You can give that to us as well. I nodded in agreement. All right. As I turned to leave, the sound of the couple's triumphant laughter reached my ears. I smirked. The more they demand now, the harder they'll fall later. The real show was just beginning. The next morning, I called Karen Miller and told her the money was ready, but the transaction had to happen at my house. She agreed almost without hesitation. After hanging up, I opened a short video app and started a live stream. Thanks to the Miller family, my face was now a viral sensation. The number of viewers in the live stream grew by the hundreds and thousands. I ignored the screen full of insults and propped my phone up in a corner with the camera aimed at the living room. Soon it was the appointed time. The moment Karen Miller walked in, she impatiently held out her hand. "Give me the money quick, you good-for-nothing. You really do have money. If you'd known it would come to this, you wouldn't have made such a fuss over 500, would you?" I said expressionlessly, "I don't have the money right now. I asked you to come over to talk about something else." Karen Miller was instantly displeased. "No money? Then why did you ask me to come over? I'm telling you, you'd better give us the money obediently. Don't try to pull any tricks or this will blow up, and I won't be responsible if those online haters do something extreme." I smiled at her. "Aren't you afraid of being found out for deceiving all those people online?" Karen Miller pursed her lips, a look of smugness on her face. "How could they find out? They're just a bunch of idiots. They believe whatever I say. I just have to act pitiful every day, and countless people will send me gifts. I can easily make tens of thousands. Let me tell you, trying to bluff us is useless. And playing the victim in front of us won't work either. 1 million is 1 million. If you're short by even a single cent, I will ruin your reputation completely." Now that she had said it all, I could rest easy. If you're going to go down, you might as well know exactly why. I took the phone from the corner and pointed the live stream at Karen Miller. I'm sure everyone heard that. This is the true face of this underprivileged couple. I sponsored them out of pity for their poverty, scrimping and saving to do so, only to be falsely accused by them. At that moment, the tide of the comments completely turned. Everyone started to condemn Karen Miller. Using our kindness as a weapon. What the F? Are you even human? You'd sell your soul for money? A teacher who scrimped and saved to sponsor a student? Why couldn't my kid have a teacher like that? Miss Clark, we were wrong about you. We apologize. Karen Miller quickly took out her phone to check my live stream. For a moment, she looked at it in disbelief, her mouth opening and closing. The disdain on her face was replaced by confusion. Her eyes filled with shock and regret. She recovered quickly, attempting to regain her composure. "It's all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. I was just joking with everyone. Miss Clark has been so good to my family. I would never have a conflict with her. When I said idiots, I didn't mean it in the way you think. In my hometown, idiot is actually a term of endearment for good friends." I had to struggle to keep from laughing out loud. "Stop pretending. It's come to this and you're still treating everyone like a fool." Karen Miller's face turned beet red and she screamed as if she had nothing left to lose. "You good for nothing. You set me up?" I scoffed. "Set you up? I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine." Frank Miller rushed forward. "What the hell did you just say to me?" I held up my phone. "What do you think you're doing?" Karen Miller pulled him back and they left without another word. Even at this point, the Miller family was still putting up a pointless struggle. As soon as they got home, they started a live stream trying to explain everything. When the couple got tired of acting, they put Cindy on camera, making the little girl kneel on the floor and cry her eyes out, reciting her lines haltingly. But it was not enough to stop the online backlash. People would not be fooled by the same trick twice. I watched their spectacular performance on my phone with amusement. I had already called the police when they left my apartment. A short while later, police officers appeared in their live stream, exposing their lies on the spot and arresting them. Before the viewers in the live stream could even react, the platform had already shut it down. Afterward, I posted a video clearly explaining the entire story from beginning to end. Karen Miller was sentenced to prison. Frank Miller escaped with a lighter sentence due to his lesser involvement. A few days later, Frank Miller came to my door. He looked as if he had aged 10 years, with none of the arrogance he had when he grabbed my hair. He kept his head down, not daring to look me in the eye. "Miss Clark, may I come in for a moment?" I said coldly. "If you have something to say, say it at the door. It's not convenient for you to come in." Okay. It's like this. I was wrong about everything before. MHM. Miss Clark. Cindy has been missing her mom these past few days. I was wondering if you could sign a letter of forgiveness for her mom to reduce her sentence by a few years. I couldn't help but laugh. Why should I? You had the guts to do the crime, but not the guts to face the consequences. His head sank even lower. Then can you resume the sponsorship? I didn't need $1,500 this time, not even $1,000. $500 would be enough. No one in the city would hire me now, and I really had no money. I wasn't lying this time. I swore it. I shook my head. I wouldn't let myself be soft-hearted again. This was their punishment. The next time I saw Karen Miller was in one of her live streams. I never expected her to change so drastically. She had lost almost all of her hair and had grown so thin she looked like a skeleton. She was kowtowing to the camera non-stop. "Everyone, please save me," she cried. She was on a public street, and her loud pleas had drawn a crowd of onlookers. Karen Miller's crying was a pitiful sight. "I have leukemia, and I have no money for treatment. Please, I'm begging you. I'm on my knees. Please donate some money to me." Even though it was true after everything that had happened before, no one believed her anymore. Not a single person donated. In the end, she died at home. As for Frank Miller, I ran into him on the street by chance. I don't know where Cindy went. He was alone, dressed in rags, digging through a trash can. He seemed to have suffered a severe psychological blow and couldn't remember anything. When he saw me, he didn't speak. He didn't even seem to recognize me. He just pointed at the water bottle in my hand, which was still half full. I held it up. I'm not done with it yet. He suddenly wrinkled his face into a fawning smile. "Please, kind person, give it to me." A strange pang hit my heart, though I couldn't quite place the feeling. It was a pitiful sight, but one they had brought upon themselves. "Fine," I said, handing him the bottle. He took it with both hands and gave me a deep bow of thanks. Then he emptied the water, crushed the bottle flat, and walked off into the distance. With that, the matter was closed, and my life returned to normal. I went back to teaching, shaping young minds. Although the experience with the Miller family left me with a sense of disillusionment, it didn't make me lose faith in all families in need. Nor did I resent my own kindness. I still set aside a portion of my salary to sponsor underprivileged families.